Welcome to Beneficial Conversations, where we will explore the world of employee benefits and dive into the trends, challenges, and innovations shaping our industry. Join us as we sit down with industry leaders, HR professionals, policy experts, and thought leaders to discuss strategies for creating impactful benefit programs that support employees and drive organizational success. So, whether you're an employee, a consultant, or you're simply curious, Beneficial Conversations looks to provide valuable insights, actionable advice, and inspiring stories to help you navigate the future of work. Hey, welcome to
Uh,
Beneficial Conversations. My name's CJ Jordan. I am joined with Luke Aslesen from Informed. Excited to have you on, Luke. Really, I'm excited to have this conversation, see where it goes. I honestly, I don't know where it's going to go with us talking. Um, but I do want to give you a chance to just kind of introduce yourself. I want to hear a little bit about kind of your background, how you got into this space, what you're doing now, and then we'll kind of get into the nuts and bolts of things.
yeah, beautiful. Well, dude, beneficial conversations, maiden voyage. Here we are. Let's go. I'm honored.
Look at
We're
us.
rocking. Yeah, so quick background. I have been in the benefits space for the last, call it 7 years. Got into it totally green. My old man did it. Can you say that anymore, old man? It's a term of respect and
I,
endearment. My father, an old man, whatever, you
I
know?
allow it.
All right, great. He did it for like 40 years, CJ, and we never worked together, but around the dinner table, I was exposed to it and got into it, became a broker, did really well early, blah, 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 and then was doing an RFP for this large national CPA firm, and they were like, hey, is there some sort of vendor that has like short burst videos? Because we have people all across the country. Do you have something that we could send out to all of our people? And at this point in my career, I'm pretty early, and I was like, oh, well, of course. Like, it'd be so stupid if someone didn't do that. Like, of
Right.
course. Bro, the deeper I dug, the more I was like, oh my God, no one's done this. This is crazy. Fast forward to today. So I started just recording videos. Those videos got better. You can imagine the number of videos that answer benefits questions are very numerous. So fast forward to today, about 3 years later, we'll call it. Informed is, the Netflix of insurance. We literally had our tech team build like a Netflix template, single sign on, easy sign on, 150 benefits videos, everything from what's a deductible, what's a copay to I'm 25. Should I, stay on my parents' plan or get onto my own plan? Or I just got fired. What are my options? So literally our whole vision for this was no one understands their benefits. The
Yep.
people that are trying to explain it typically don't do it in a modern, up-to-date way. But lastly, let's make it, 60, 90 seconds, easy to engage. I always say I don't look like your typical broker, so I'm the perfect person to relate to the employee population
Uh-huh.
who needs to understand this. So, anyway, that's the elevator throw for informed. But and all this being said, set against the backdrop of we care about people understanding how this thing works. And bro, as you know better than anybody, nobody understands it.
No, no, it's this layer upon layer of confusion and I mean even trying to get information on like scheduling dental plans or like dental visits and stuff like that. Like even the things that seem the most basic are just rarely that. Like it's rarely ever straightforward in this space. So I appreciate that. I
Yeah.
do want to ask, this is going to be a question that I'm going to ask consistently, and it has nothing to do with insurance, but I'm curious because I love food and I eat all the time, but I want to know what your best meal was. It can be something that you and your wife cooked. It can be something that you had somewhere. Like tell me your best meal, where it was. I want to hear about that real quick before we get into all the, the interesting stuff or as we think it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow, this is best meal I've ever had. Okay,
Yep.
okay. Um Oh my dude, this is a this is a great lead-off question. I'm scrambling, bro. I usually have something to pull from. Ooh. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, here we go. My wife and I, we tend to, or we like to do like a month overseas when we
Yep.
can in like January, February.
Yep.
Because obviously benefits is really slow that time. We like to take a vacation. We don't have kids yet.
Yep.
So anyway, a couple of years ago, we spent 5 weeks in Nicaragua,
Oh.
and we drove into the city, and like we were on the coast of Nicaragua, but we drove inland a couple hours to, I think it's Managua is what it's
Okay.
called. But anyway, it's this cute little like vibrant town. If you blink and you miss it, but it's got all of this really cool stuff. We stayed at this hotel that had like 8 rooms. It was really cute, but the concierge was like, "Hey, there, if you're looking for a good spot, like you got to go here. I know the owner. Let me put in a reservation for you." Anyway,
That's
we
the
went.
best.
Dude, it was like off the beaten path. We're like, yeah, we're getting to know the place the way nobody else does. Probably does it for everybody, but who cares? We felt special. And we went to this place, and I'm not kidding, CJ. It was this Italian restaurant in the heart of Nicaragua, and we were like, there ain't no way they're doing Italian food right. But there was like 12 tables, like the whole place was candlelit. The service was insane. And I forget the dish, but I just remember my meal being incredible. They comped us a bottle of wine, just like I spent almost a decade in hospitality.
Uh-huh.
So that hospitality piece of it, like anticipating the need,
Yep.
making sure everything's good, that stands out. And again, bro, I didn't even answer the question. I don't know what the dish was, but start to finish, bro, it was unbelievable. 10 out of 10 out of 10.
I mean, I feel like atmosphere can almost like make up for like if the food is kind of okay, but like the aesthetics, the environment and stuff like that is great. Like, I mean, that can really differentiate things. But I'm always curious to kind of see or hear who's gone where, who's had what, who's done what. It's just, food brings us all together. So that's kind of my
That's right.
my
Well, you have to answer the question now. How about you?
So, I mean, I know this one kind of off the top of my head, and it's actually a place here in Birmingham. It's called Ovenbird, and
Okay.
it's a tapas, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
But so it was my parents came in town. This was I think right before my wife and I got married. So my parents came in town from Memphis, and it was my parents, her parents, and then her siblings with their significant others. And so
Yep.
when you get a few people, like when you get a group like that, you're always worried that like people are going to kind of end up getting the same things, or like there's
Sure,
not going to
sure.
be necessarily a level of adventure to it. So, the waiter was like, look, group this size, if you'll allow it and if you're comfortable with it, I'd almost just like to kind of do a chef's recommendation and kind of bring y'all out some different things and like just bring you out kind of
Ooh.
almost like a tasting menu, if you will. Because there was like
Nice,
10 of us or
nice.
something along those lines. So like we started with this, I think it was like, and this is going to be weird a little bit for some people, I think, but like a big fat candle. And so with some bread, and so they melt it down, and so you just like take the bread and you dip it in, and they
Oh
bring
yeah.
like it's not just here's a little piece of chicken, here's a little something like they've got some like different dishes that have been concocted and like put together with some thought, and so it was
Yeah.
like, we got a little smattering of everything. There was like a little fish with it. There was I think there was even goat. And so like there's some things that are out there, but like my wife is not the most adventurous eater, and so she
Okay.
more than likely would have like just gotten the chicken or something. So we had all these things, and it was incredible, like all these different things
Oof.
that was just not your normal stuff that you're gonna go and get. But I asked my wife, I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
what was your favorite thing? And she was like, honestly, it was the goat. And because like
Really?
it's so tender and like what they had done, and like my sister-in-law, she's not very adventurous either. Like I tell my wife, like you can't eat with your eyes and your ears. Like if something sounds weird, I get it, but like you've got to try it. And if you don't like it, that's fine. But like,
Okay.
let's get out there and
Yeah.
try some things. And so it
Yeah.
was
Yeah. Yeah.
that is like one of my favorite meals I think that we've had, just because of the diversity of what we had, and there was just all of us kind of hanging out together and stuff like that. So that
Yeah.
is, I think that's one of my most memorable and favorite meals that I've had.
But same deal. Like, it sounds like the food was incredible, but even to have a chef be like, "Hey, you guys have a larger group. Let me kind of do this like pre-feed like menu preset." Like, oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That's the all-star treatment. That's incredible. Oven
Yeah.
bird, you said.
Do what?
You said
Oven
oven
bird.
bird is
Yeah,
called
oven
oven
bird.
bird. Cool.
Yeah, it's
All
a
right.
it's a guy. He's a chef here in Birmingham, Chris Hastings. He's got a couple good spots. Like, he's one of the big chefs around here. That's one of his, and it was, I mean, it was top notch. Like, could not recommend it enough.
Dude, you're pulling on a really interesting thread, and I'm not sure if many people. I'd actually be curious to know how many people like spent time in service or enjoy that aspect of it. But there are so many things to be pulled from a good restaurant that should and could be applied to the benefits landscape of just like how do you anticipate a need? How do you like literally read a mind? Because, dude, everybody's have you seen that movie Hitch? Where
Yeah.
have you seen Hitch?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, for sure.
The opening monologue, he's like 60% of all human communication is nonverbal.
Yep.
30% is your tone. That means 90% of what you're saying ain't coming out your mouth.
Right.
And like being able to read a room and be like, they didn't like that, or ooh, they're excited about that, or whatever. Like, I don't know, the hospitality piece. How do you blend the two? Because I'm not saying people don't do a great job in this space, but the hospitality of like anticipate the need, go above and beyond, serve the employee, just like we have so much, our scope of work is so broad that
Yep.
I wonder if people are approaching it with like a truly servant-hearted mentality. How do I make this an experience for
Yep.
everybody? I don't see it very frequently, but again, anyway, it's just interesting
You
blending those
know,
two
but
thoughts, you
you
know?
even like you bring up a good point. Like when you have bad service and like you notice that somebody doesn't want to be there, like that's so noticeable. And like the same thing, like when you're
Yes.
doing an enrollment or something like that, and you're there with a broker or somebody from the team or something like that, that's just like, do you want dental? Do you want vision? You know, that like, and it's just, you
Yeah.
know, it's monotone. It's like, look, it's clear that you don't want to be here. Like, you're not making this a positive experience for me either.
Correct.
So, like, if
Yeah.
you can have the people and you can, present the experience or curate the experience of like, hey, look, I understand that benefits is probably not the thing that you want to be talking about on a Tuesday morning, but like, here's why it's important, and here's what you need
Yes.
to understand. Here's why it's valuable. I think that just
Yeah.
creates a better experience for the employee, for the employer. Like they're bringing in people who give a rip about, what they're doing and want to provide what's best. So I mean, I think you're exactly right.
Yeah, it's and it's funny whenever I get up in front of employee populations. First of all, like you said, everyone hates open enrollment. Everyone hates benefit stuff because they're super apathetic. I almost treat it as like a stand-up set. How do I do my like 10 minutes or whatever? Obviously, it's longer than that, but the ability to capture hearts and minds early by saying like some sort of cognitive break. Everyone's expecting the same, like you said, here's your medical, here's your dental, here's your da da da. Dude, no one cares, first of all. A few
Yep.
people do, but they could all their questions answered from the packet. They don't need you to regurgitate it. How do you make it a fun experience? And that's like that is such a huge part of I think what people should do. And I get it, not everyone's equipped to be able to manage people and engage like that. But bro, some of the open enrollment meetings I've been a part of or just team meetings, make it fun.
Yeah.
Like it we focus so much on results and new systems and we're going to save money, we're going to do all of this stuff. It's like, hey, that's all good and fine, but our people would kind of like it to just be enjoyable. And here's what's really crazy. I don't tell many people this, but almost always when I start working with a group, we see between like a 10 and 20% bump in enrollment. It's
Wow.
not because crazy, right? It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's not because I'm like, I have this, silver bullet for benefit stuff. I have the same tools available that almost every other broker does,
Yeah.
but I make it fun and I engage people and I like have the light bulb moments go off so that people actually go, oh shit, like no one's ever explained it to me that way. I didn't know I should have this. I'm going to sign up. And it's crazy. It's happened a lot of times to a point where I'm even like comfortable making the statement of this is a trend of engage with people. They will enjoy you and
Yep.
then they will sign up for the things that we know they need to have. It's a crazy world, man. It's a crazy thing, but not many people put those pieces together, you know?
Yeah, I mean that's phenomenal. I mean to see those kinds of results just from, I mean, being willing to explain things in a different way. You're saying the same things, but maybe in a way that's just engaging, informative, entertaining. I mean, it's you're in the entertainment business, I guess, is what we're gonna put you.
Actually,
Um,
yes, yes.
so you mentioned kind of apathy, and that's something that I kind of want to get your thoughts on. Like, what do you think? And this is a little broad, but like, why do you think there is such apathy towards benefits in general?
Dude, this is the question that my co-founder Steve and I talk about all the time. I don't know that I have a perfect answer because we're still trying to figure it out. But um, I think it's like anything else that's really complicated. Well, first of all, everyone's like, oh, I have to have this thing. I tell groups all the time, you're choosing between the lesser of two evils. Like, do I have insurance, spend a fortune on it, and likely not use it because most people don't, but I'm spending a bunch of money for the backstop of if something bad happens, I'm covered? Or do you run the risk of, I mean, I think half to two-thirds of bankruptcies are directly tied to medical bills. So do I run the risk of possibly having a situation and I'm screwed, but I save a bunch of money? So like those are your two options. And I think it's the apathy piece comes in where it's like, okay, I have to have this thing. It's going to cost a bunch of money, but I don't have any idea how to navigate it. And frankly, even if I were a pro at navigating it, I still have to have it.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like it's super confusing. Um, People have it's been this way for so long, and no one has done anything about it. So if I'm an employee and I've been in the benefits ecosystem for 10 years doing open enrollment, whatever, and it's been the exact same thing. I could be at 10 different companies and I'm likely going to have the same experience 10 different times with 10 different brokers. I'm just going to, at a certain point, say, okay, like this is what it is. I'm gonna pick the cheapest plan. Hope is gonna be my strategy. But yeah, dude, I think it's just this like in years and years and years and years and years and years and years of this not changing. So if nothing changes, why would I show up any different? Because I know nothing's going to change. You guys, meaning the insurance industry, you're not showing up any different for me. Why would I show up any differently? Just tell me the price, tell me the plan design changes so I can be on my merry way. There's more layers to it, but I'd say
Yeah.
that's probably the biggest thing.
No, I think I agree. Like, it's almost like a defeated mindset. Like
Yeah.
you
Yep.
almost feel like you're starting behind the eight ball anyway, and it's like there's this massive mountain to climb to even begin to start to understand things, and like I just don't have the desire to try to climb that mountain. Like I'm already trying to figure out, what I got to do at my job, and how I'm going to manage these kids at home, or whatever else we're
Yeah.
dealing with, and it's just like benefits is just not something that I want to tackle, and like it's discouraging a little bit to see that, but I appreciate kind of what you're doing as far as like bringing an entertaining element to it. It's like, hey, we're going to talk about benefits, but it's not going to be in this monotone voice that you've been used to, time and time again with a guy coming in and a collared shirt like I have, and maybe a vest on top of it. It's like, hey, we're gonna play this up. We're gonna do it a little bit differently to just put a different spin on things.
Yes, totally. Oh, what was I gonna say? There was a thread there. Oh, and on top of all of that, like for us to say, oh, here's your $5,000 deductible plan. To understand how that all works, you need to understand, okay, what's a deductible?
Yep.
But then you also at some point need to understand what coinsurance is. You also need to know what an out-of-pocket maximum is. You need to know what a network is. Like there's all of these things that you and I can answer super quickly, but if you can't just understand, oh, okay, the deductible is this, I'm good. You have to know how it all works together in this little ecosystem. I mean, it's just so much information to try to understand. So again, I think like I forget what it is. I'm going to butcher this, and I'm no scientist, but there's a piece of I think your medulla oblongata that when you have like a huge task in front of you, you have like it doesn't know your brain doesn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
I when I say medulla oblongata, I always think of
Adam
Happy
Sandler,
Gilmore.
Waterboy,
Waterboy. That's
nailed
what
it.
it is. But like your brain, when it has this big task and it's not broken down, it doesn't know what to do with it. So I
Yeah.
think benefits is that it's just like insurance. Like, oh, I don't know how to break it down into pieces, so I'm just going to be super apathetic. Hope will be my strategy. I'm just going to wash, rinse, repeat from last year.
Yeah. So how do you and you've kind of touched on this a little bit just from like even, hey, I've got 10 minutes to do this or something like that, but even through the platform, like how do you find your ability to kind of cut through the noise or the maybe even the apathy towards things? Like how is Informed kind of cutting through all the other stuff that they're getting to provide that level of education? Because I think you said like y'all have a massive engagement rate when you get this implemented with a group.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like 70% engagement across the
Jeez.
board when we bring it in, which is crazy. We
Right.
literally, CJ, we were like 10 would be pretty dope, like 20 would be unbelievable, but then we're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
But here's what I know we do. First of all, um and it's weird that insurance doesn't understand this, but they need to. They need to understand that we spend almost all of our time with decision makers, C-suite, right? HR, CFO, president, whatever. And we're all experts by proxy because we talk about it all the time. The employees are the ones who actually end up using this thing. So we need to bring it down to their level and we need to actually engage and empathize with them.
So,
And I feel like almost all insurance people, not all, but most, they're not focused on the end user. I view my job as my job is to serve, and I say this to leadership teams. I'm like, hey, CJ, like if we decide to work together, man, we're going to have a great relationship over the years, and I'm going to earn your trust, and we're going to become buddies. But at the risk of sounding abrasive, you are my number two priority.
yeah.
Your employees, the people that run your business, are my number one priority. I'm going to focus on them entirely. Of course, we're going to have to figure things out, fiscally and all this behind closed doors. But trust me when I say, when I serve your people as my number one priority, this relationship is going to be the very best. And almost every time they're like, great, awesome, sold, right? So all that being said, I weaved a little bit. I say that like I don't look, talk, or act like many brokers.
Yeah.
And when I'm in rooms with brokers, I know I probably get the side eye. It's like this guy's not very serious, whatever. It's like, no, I'm so fucking serious that
Yeah.
I'm willing to be like to get and be with your people and chop it up with them because, bro, let's boil this down to human basics. We like people that are like us. We
Yeah.
like people we can relate to. We like people that look like us, blah blah blah. So when I'm like an employee and engaging insurance the way an employee would, that's how I win the hearts of employees. So that is really the secret sauce of Informed. Like there have been plenty of people that are like, let's build a video library. Let's put content out there. God bless you. Go do it. That's awesome. You're missing the point, which is no one's going to watch it. You can't just take PDF information and put it into video with a cartoon and expect people to tune in. Video is not the solution.
Yeah.
The brand and somebody feeling like they can actually listen to Luke and trust Luke,
Yeah.
that's what we have.
For
That's
sure.
that's the differentiator. And I don't there's little other things that we do as well, but that is our silver bullet. And I'm so fine saying that to the world because I know nobody else can do it. I mean, again, God bless you, dude. If you want to go try and build the brand and try to do what we're doing, good. Go for it. But we've built this thing so that other people wouldn't have to say, oh, we can do it better than Luke. We want them to say, let's just use Luke.
Yeah.
It's so inexpensive to use. Why don't we just latch onto this? Because he's obviously doing such a good job and has the platform. Long answer long. That relating to the people that are spending their hard-earned money on this thing is what we focus on, and it's working in a pretty cool way.
And I think like what you said is important, and I feel like it probably allows you a level of comfort to even walk away in some cases. Like if you're in with the C-suites and stuff and they're not understanding that like they aren't the priority, like to me in my mind, and this is maybe not universally true, so I'm painting with a broad brush here, but like if the C-suite doesn't understand that like their employees are the most important piece of this, then like that's a huge miss from a leadership standpoint. Well, and I
Correct.
think it allows you to be like, look, then we're not on the same page as far as like our expectations and what we're trying to deliver. Like my job is not delivering up to the C-suite. Like, yes, you're going to use it a little bit, but like I'm trying to cater to this 80%, if you will, probably larger amount than that. And I mean, I think that's important, and I feel like it gives you a position to be like, hey, look, if you're not getting this, then maybe this isn't the best fit.
Yeah, totally. And you're right. It weeds out the people. And I'm not saying that like the people that don't end up working with us are bad.
For
They're just
sure.
not for us. They're
Right.
just not for us.
And
There
that can
are a
be
lot
said
of people.
from our side too. Like, hey, me as a broker, I'm maybe not for everybody either, and that's totally fine. Completely respect it. Like,
Yes.
want what's
Yep.
best for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So we go after it's really fun when I do explain what we do it, how we do it, and leadership teams are like, yes, yes, 100%. Because I'm like, okay, cool. You're bought in, and the way you just responded to that tells me you really like your priority is your employees. You're just looking for people that will come alongside you in that effort to serve them in the same way. And again, I talk to plenty of people that are like, nope, we're good. Like, this is not professional enough. This is not whatever. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But to your point, it's like those are not for me. There's other things out there for that group. God bless you. But it does help. We're we want to be close with our people, man. Like we view this as you're already spending seven figures on this thing. What kind of education engagement, do you get with that? They're all like, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, that's crazy. That's crazy to spend that amount of money,
Yeah.
but not have some sort of like with it. So
Yeah.
yeah, man, all this being said, we're super focused on employees getting this stuff and enjoying it. And just having, even if it is like a 60-minute open enrollment where they get to laugh, where
Yeah.
they get to finally be engaged for the first time, that's worth it to a lot of groups, oddly enough.
And like I feel like in the self-funded space, like you have the ability with kind of what you're doing to help people understand like how their decisions can ultimately have an impact on the greater like plan as a whole. Like, hey, I'm trying to help you understand what a deductible is, and what this out of pocket max is, and like what and I don't know if you cover this or anything like that, but I'm just using things that come to mind, like what centers of excellence are, high quality doctors. Like, I want you to understand these things so that you can make good decisions that have an impact on your own plan. Like, come renewal time, like your decisions have an impact on renewal. And I think that's like an
Yes.
empowering piece to people, because I think in a lot of cases they don't understand. Like, I
Yes.
actually had a conversation with an HR person, one of our clients the other day, and she said, one of the employees came up and was like, I hate our insurance. It sucks. And she was like, hold on a second.
Joe.
And she
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like, I need you to understand a couple of things. Like, we have a really rich plan, actually. And she was like,
Hmm.
do you understand that, like, this, and this, like the things that you do, the choices that you make, like the prescriptions and things like that, how you approach these things, they all have an impact on the renewal. And he was like, I had no idea. And so like she took a minute to just be like, hey, let me break this down a little bit for you. Like, these things
Yes.
have an impact, and like your ability to kind of break some of that down, I think helps people all get on the same page without it having to come from like this executive person up here that's just been trying to hammer this thing home constantly.
Totally.
But it's just, oh, this is another email from HR. Like, it almost feels like you can, I mean, you're not the bad. You're the substitute teacher, I guess. Like you're the one that kind of comes in, and
Yeah.
they're tired of listening to Mr. Belden, talk about all this stuff. Like, let's get the sub in
Yeah.
here, and he can kind of bring a different
Yes.
flavor to it.
Yes. Yeah. Well, dude, you said something very interesting. It was just get like explaining people's role in this, because fully insured, self-funded, captive, anything in between, like most employees are not aware that how they behave has a direct impact on their renewal each year. They're used to showing up to the trough, for lack of a better word, picking between, their three plans and then going on their merry way. And then they're like, hell yeah, hit my max out of pocket spending spree. The shoulder's been hurting, my knee's a little wonky. Like, let's go do this. And I tell groups, I'm like, hey, that's fine, but
Right.
you need to understand that your company is the insurance company. So everything you are doing, those cost increases that you get every single year, those are directly related to, like you said, how you behave. And bro, nobody is telling people that.
Yeah.
Nobody communicates that simple thing. And you get someone to understand that, they just thought it's insurance. They're just like, oh, I'm going to go, give the middle finger to the insurance company because, haha, I spent my 5 grand. Now they're going to foot the extra 50 or whatever I have to do. Screw them. It's like, I love that mindset. I love that. That's very like, can't tell me what to do, but you are hurting yourself. And again, like you said, even having that moment, people go, oh. Oh, so like Steve and I say all the time, my co-founder, we're like, dude, this is not like people don't need to be experts the way CJ and Luke are experts.
Right.
They just need to understand very basic, like what's their role here? How do they make good decisions? How do they do like it's very, very baseline to actually make an impact when it comes to handling your benefits. It's pretty crazy and not as complicated as you think.
Right. So where, like in your mind, and this is a little bit of a nuanced conversation, I guess, or a nuanced question because some of it's maybe going to depend on like when maybe the broker who's kind of working with you brings you in or whatever. But like in your mind, when does education start? Like, is it at open enrollment? Is it way before open enrollment? Is it like in your mind, where does education start when it comes to benefits? Maybe it's people driven or whatever. I'm kind of curious your thoughts on this.
Yeah, that is a very insightful question. And we a lot of people when they hear about what Inform does, they're like, "Oh, specific education." Like, "Oh, they're going to talk about my specific $3,000 deductible and my PPO plan and all that." It's like we're actually not concerned with your people understanding their specific benefits, which
Yeah.
sounds a little goofy, but
No, that's
we're more
that's my
like
job, I feel like.
that's CJ's job.
Right.
Yes, like we're not decision support.
Yep.
We're not here to help you shop RX. We're not here to do any of that stuff.
Yep.
Our job and what we're doing throughout the year, and that's part of the benefit of having the Inform platform, is you get year-round engagement. Like a win for us is when we have deployed 12 videos over 12 months
Hmm.
and have gotten the good engagement and we text and email and send all of this stuff out to people because again to your point if Mr. Belding sends you a text you're like eh. But if Cool Substitute sends you something that's funny and kind of witty and something like you're probably going to click the link and watch it, right?
Yeah.
So for us, it's how do we do all of the groundwork leading up to open enrollment so we can very much pass the baton. Our job is to tee CJ up
Yeah.
and have him be able to deliver on open enrollment.
Yeah.
So if it's January and we're talking about, hey, here's what our network is. Here, February, HSA, you guys have one, blah, blah, blah. And then prior to open enrollment, hey, open enrollment is this. A lot of people don't even know that you can't change your benefits mid-year. Like that little thing, right? So again, there's so much work to be done up here at a very high level of having people understand this stuff.
Yeah.
That is where we tend to do our best work. We do custom stuff. If someone wants a custom video, we'll shoot it. It gets a little pricey, but
Sure.
our thing is just let's get people thinking about this year round. I know people aren't going to toggle between Instagram and informed videos, but you watch a 60 90-second video about something. Oh, and on top of it, if we throw a reward in there from the leadership team,
Right.
that's our main goal and mission, if that answered the question.
No, 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 it does. Because, and I think that's a critical piece because I feel like in a lot of cases and with a lot of groups, benefits is a one time a year conversation and it just
Correct.
kind of stops. And, we've kind of talked about this. Here's your two dental plans. Here's this. Here's this. What do you want?
Hmm.
And then we don't really have a discussion about it for another 7 to 9 months. So like,
Right.
I
Right.
think it's the process of helping people understand throughout the year. And so it sounds like, y'all are kind of doing these drip campaigns. Is it when you're doing the drip campaigns, is it kind of consistent as far as what y'all are sending out each month, or are you working with maybe the business to say, hey, we kind of want a message, not even an ad hoc, a custom one per se, but is it, hey, we would love if you've got a message on this, like we would love to do this in February, or is it kind of more, hey, everybody's in January, just about everybody's getting a message on, hey, wellness exams and stuff like that. So not necessarily ad hoc custom ones, but like how customizable are the drip campaigns that you're doing throughout the year? Maybe that's a complicated question.
No, no, I hear you. It's like if we are going to send out 12 videos throughout the year, is every group getting the same video in January, February, March, whatever, or can you customize it? Yeah, we
Yeah.
can customize it.
Okay.
We typically when we recommend something, people go with it. Not many
Sure.
people are like, we have to have the HSA video in April. We're like, no, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's completely customizable. And here's the other thing: we built this thing for brokers and producers to like be white labeled. So this whole thing is designed to look like CJ or look like whoever the producer or the broker is. And you can kind of interchange it and send stuff out as you like. But long answer to your short question, it's all completely customizable. Do you want to do it every 2 weeks? Okay, if you think your people are going to tune in that frequently, great. But yeah, it's all customizable, which is really cool.
Okay. And then, so you've got the drip campaigns that you're doing, which have that high level of engagement. And then I think you told me about 130 videos, right? That, somebody's sitting
Yep.
down and they're afraid to go into HR and ask, a stupid question or something like that. They can log into that platform and be like, what is an HSA? Instead of having to go to Google where they're going to get 7,000 responses and all that kind of stuff, they log into
Yep.
your platform and kind of get that education just right there.
Exactly. Yep, exactly. So typically the first, and we talked about this before we started recording, but like startups in life are just like iteration after iteration after iteration after iteration, and to the survivor go the spoils. So the first iteration was, hey, we're going to take CJ's Manufacturing, all 100 employees, take their emails, upload them into the system. They've all got complete access. Well, we realized that the people that were actually logging in were the HR and benefits leaders. It wasn't the employees, because
Right.
again, they don't know about it. They don't really
Yeah.
care. They care about it when they need to access stuff. But so we changed it to when CJ's Manufacturing signs on as a client, we're going to give the whole admin team access to the thing, because people are still going to HR. They're still going to
Yeah.
their leadership team when they have questions. If they want to go into the platform themselves, totally fine. They can. That's available. But more often than not, they're going to their benefits team lead and saying, what plan do I choose? How should I do this? Da 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 da. So, and plus, we want to be cognizant. One of the huge fears of HR is job replacement, right? They're like, well, I'm going to keep things in place. I don't want you doing my job, because if I have enough vendors that do my job, I'm not going to have a job. And we respect the fact that HR are the people at most companies, and people are going to trust the HR and benefits team more than they're going to trust Luke, because they have relationships. So, all this being said, it works best when someone comes to CJ's benefits team and says, hey, I don't have this question or whatever, and then the team pulls the video and sends it to them. So it's still having that like human interaction piece,
Yeah.
and HR gets to say, let me pull from the vault and give you the information.
Yeah. I can also see some HR people like having a sign out on their door that just says, have you checked and formed yet?
Oh my God, bro, do you have a tap in my house? Like, that is literally what we're doing. We are literally like doing blow up pictures of Luke, like, and on like it says, have you checked and formed yet? And
Yeah.
it's an NFC tag that you scan and it gets you to the platform and you type in your question. So, wow, dude, where are you? Are you
Yes.
bugging my home?
I mean,
It's funny.
I can see it being like, look, I've been over, like, especially, when you start to get to open enrollment time, like, I feel so bad for HR people that just get inundated with all of these
Yes.
questions. And like, you've got,
Yes.
I can just see them looking at people and be like, we've provided an entire platform and library for you to get these
Yes,
answers.
yes,
Please
yes.
take
Have you checked informed yet?
Please
Yeah.
take 30 seconds and just go look at it. If you still have
Yes.
questions, I would love to answer those, but I can almost
Yep.
guarantee that you're going to get an answer faster.
Yes, dude, yes. And that's literally one of the things that we want to have HR leaders be able to do. At the end of the day, if you're like, hey, I've got to be on chemo, we're moving, like that kind of stuff, of course, talk to them. But
Yeah.
so many people are like, what plan should I choose? What's the HSA plan? It's like, yeah, dude, just offload all of the same BS questions that we get from people so that we can focus on answering like the questions and the people that really need it. That's really funny that you said that, bro. That's super funny. Wow. Do 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 do.
What do y'all, and I'm assuming you have, and you may not know this offhand, which is totally fine. What do y'all see the most common videos, like which ones are getting watched the most?
Yeah. Again, the top 25, there's like 20 or 25 that get the most traction.
Sure.
But it's all the stuff that you would imagine. Like, what plan should I choose? How do networks work? How do deductible coinsurance copay and out-of-pocket max all work together in this like weird bucket you have to fill up. So it's all like the low-hanging fruit. You've got the like, what's an EOB? That one gets watched a lot, but it is truly like if you wrote down what you think the top 10 most watched videos are, it's probably going to be those ones,
Right.
which is another good affirmation that people just want to understand the basics of this stuff, you know? Yeah.
Um, so I saw you post something on LinkedIn recently, and I want to kind of get your take on it, or for you to expound on it. So you had mentioned, effectiveness and efficiency when it comes to health insurance, and those two things being different. Expound on that a little bit, because I kind of want to get your take on that. Like when it comes to insurance, like, are they effective? Are they efficient? Should they be effective? Should they be efficient? Like, talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that one, and I'm not sure it was received the way we intended it to. But what I mean is we a few years ago, I did a little bit of research into like where all the startup money goes into the healthcare and health insurance space.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say the number was like, and this is a little old, the data, but it was like $30 billion or something that went into health insurance, health tech, startup stuff. And when it comes to education engagement, like there was nothing. There was nothing. It was all like, how do we, do international drug spend better? How do we get better, people
Point solution.
to their care better? Point solutions. Exactly. It's all point solutions. Thank you. Um, so what I meant by that video and that statement is we are again so focused on making things from an admin standpoint, from a like get people care standpoint, from a, like a let's just let's streamline this thing, AI, with all of this stuff, like let's make it better, faster, stronger. That to me is very efficient.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to be effective because if it were effective, we would have a healthier population, we'd have a more engaged and understood population, and they'd be managing their insurance a lot better.
Yeah.
And the more money we spend, it's this weird graph, dude. Like the more we spend, the worse people are. So that to me is like, that is not effective. Again, so much money is going into the efficiency, streamline, make it better.
Yeah.
But effectiveness, I believe, is measured in, are people getting better? Are they getting the answers and the care that they need?
Yeah.
I don't know. And that again is like why we're so focused on the brand and impact piece, because we can have solutions all day, which we do. If you don't have people's attention, you're never going to be able to deliver those solutions. I'm a huge believer, and I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. You have to capture a heart before you capture a mind. And I think, in the insurance space in particular, we think the brain stuff works. We think all of the like, we're really smart, we're going to figure this thing out. And bro, lots of unbelievable solutions.
Yeah.
Those solutions are time, money, and energy wasted if we have not figured out a way to get people to use them.
Yeah. No,
So,
that's really well said, and I agree with you 100% on that. So you've got some exciting stuff coming up. I think there's U Powered that's happening in a couple of weeks, and I think you're even nominated, which is exciting. And I think, you know, what is it? Kind of an affirmation for what you're doing, and like that what you're saying, I think is resonating with people. So talk a little bit about U Powered, maybe for those. I was not as familiar with it, candidly, until pretty recently. So tell me a little bit about U Powered, kind of what's going on out there, what it's all about.
yeah, and dude, I don't want to speak out of turn because this is my first U Powered. So I've never been before, and but it's Emma Fox and David Contorno, and they're probably going to be like, "No, dude, that's not how it all happened." So I'm just going to like give the very, the very rough overview of it. But I believe it's like 5 or 6 years. It's essentially like a how do you be the best broker possible? They are really hell bent in a great way on bucking the bukas, they say all the time. Like,
Yeah.
let's get people more strategic. The fully insured shell game is not working. It's not sustainable. There are ways, as they've proven, to serve clients really, really well by putting together better solutions and just a better way of doing it, so that we don't have this future generation of insurance people that are just like, let me go win the deal, keep them fully insured, just keep making a bunch of money and be, more or less lazy. So they're really trying to shift the focus from, lazy broker, doing kind of bare minimum, making a bunch of money, to, hey, no, we are trust and tasked with being a fiduciary to our people. And that means we need to leave no stone unturned. So, it's a 3-day event. Like you said, I'm nominated for, I think, most influential personality, which is awesome. Feels great. Um, and then I'll also be on a speaking panel during it, talking about benefits for the ages. So, how do different benefits, or how do different generations engage with their benefits? So, I think it's really cool. And again, dude, I've never been, so I don't know, but
Yeah.
I think it's really cool to have that many people. I've been told it's, 4, 5, 600 people all descending on Anaheim for a 3-day conference to essentially just listen to people talk about how do we be better brokers, more creative brokers,
Yeah.
people that really want to lean into the fiduciary piece and say, this is, yeah, this is how I make a living, but I'm not going to do it the same way everybody else does. And bro, it's really cool. The people that I've been talking to, just even in the weeks leading up to it, there are so many people that give a shit. There are so many people that want this to be better, and they're all very smart. Anyway, I'll shut up. I feel like I'm,
No,
plugging them. But
no,
it's cool to that they're like raising or creating a future generation of really savvy brokers that are kind of, I believe, going to put the lazy brokers out of business.
yeah. I mean, I didn't hear about it until late, but I'm excited about it. I think it's something that I want to try to get to next year. But um, I just the status quo is clearly not working, and I feel like I don't know if we're there yet, but like there's got to be a point where people just get tired of the status quo, and like even 5 or 600 people going out there is incredible. Like, what would it look like if that number's in the thousands of people and brokers that are willing to be like, hey, you know what, I'm not just going to keep doing this same old thing, and collecting and this, that, and the other. Like, we've got to do something better for the people, or it's just going to get to a point where it's already like not sustainable as far as the trajectory that we're on, but like we've got
Yeah.
to do something. Like, we've got to reverse this in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and it's really cool because the like employers are getting sick of the same old BS too. So what's really cool about you, Powered, and or any organization that's looking to be different and solve creatively for this thing, the difference between Luke, the lazy broker that shows up with the same old, let's go, quote the market, the 4 or 5 fully insured carriers, and CJ coming in and being like, hey, have you guys heard about this? Like, the people that invest the time, money, and energy to be masters of their craft, those are the people that are going to win. They're going to win. And that's really fun. Just like, again, creating a new generation of people that are strategic and creative and doing something different. Because, yeah, the market is starting to grab their pitchforks and being like, yeah, something's got to give. And I think this is a good way to be doing that.
Well, and I'm curious, and I don't want to, take too much away from the panel that you're on, but you talked about kind of benefits for the ages, and talking about how to engage some of the different, there's probably a different way. I'm assuming that you're going to engage the millennial versus the Gen Z versus, you know, um, boomers are kind of transitioning out for the most part, but I guess, what are you kind of seeing as far as engaging some of those different generations? Like, we don't consume things all the same way. So what are you kind of seeing out there as far as that goes right now?
Yeah. Um, I think the best place to start is realizing that every generation has a very unique worldview based on like what has happened in their lifetime. This is
Yeah.
really interesting, and this is something that we don't talk about very much. We can, the expression, "Oh, okay, boomer," right? Set in the dark ages, old school, whatever. Well, you got to remember that that age group, or even older generations, they lived through a war, dude.
Right.
They're like born during wars and shit, right? So that shapes their worldview. You've got, the drug revolution of the 70s and the 80s. People grew up with that. We've got the iPad jet, like understanding that no one is coming at this thing better or worse off. It's just how they were raised, what was going on in the world. That stuff dictates how you view the world in such a huge way. Again, not better or worse,
Right.
just super different. So, obviously, Informed is tailored more for Gen Z millennials because we engage with video content more. Um, but it's just understanding that. younger people are more inclined to watch a video on something and not go to HR, knowing that an older generation is more likely to read something. This is actually a weird thing I've learned with LinkedIn too. Like, I used to just post videos with a short caption. When I started doing a long caption, that started getting better engagement. Why? Because there are a lot of older people that are engaging with my content and the video is less important to them. They want to read all of this stuff. Why? They grew up reading newspapers,
Yeah.
right? We're used to just consuming everything digitally, but older generations read. So I think we just explore that kind of stuff. Of course, we go into like 401ks were started in 1978, I think. So of course, like like that generation is gonna be like, oh my God, we need to think more about retirement, right? Versus our generation, we're kind of like, what's the return? Can we make better money? So we're a little more disillusioned, or it doesn't make sense the 401k. So, you know, Gen Z wants to take care of their cat, and they would forego medical care to, make sure, Spot is taken care of, right? But being able to say, hey, that I love that. I love that you love your animal, but you're screwed if something bad happens. So how do we educate the young people on the need for this stuff? How do we educate the or the older people on the need for getting better, faster, stronger, and being a little more up to date? So that's kind of it. We're up there for I think an hour. So we're gonna bob and weave. It's me, someone from Nice Healthcare, Rachel from Sunny Day Fund, and then Amanda, who's at Medify, so it's going to be this like really cool, well-rounded panel of talking about how do different generations engage, what's most effective, what do they want, how do we listen well, just kind of all that stuff. It's going to be cool.
No, that'll be awesome. All right, we're coming up on an hour. I got two more things that I want to run by you. So, obviously there was the significant tragedy that happened end of last year with, the United Health Group's CEO and everything that happened with that. I'm curious if, do we think that was a pivotal point in health insurance and healthcare as far as public outcry? It seemed like there was a lot of initial reaction that came out. People maybe started paying attention to health insurance or maybe started verbalizing things a little bit more about their experiences and stuff like that. Do you think that was, I won't go as far to call it a watershed moment necessarily, but has the news cycle already spun on that, or do you think that was something that will kind of lead towards more change, more, kind of more, we'll just say change, more change within the industry and more accountability?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I don't know that I have a great answer for it.
Sure.
I like to focus on not the act itself. I think doing something like that is always a losing game. You're not like, you don't accomplish what you think you want to accomplish.
100%.
And like you said, that in like the news cycle is already, we're on to fires and elections and whatever, so
Blake Lively
it was just
and
kind of this
Justin
like,
Baldoni or
yeah,
whatever else is going
yeah,
on.
yeah, bro, exactly. So I think it has, phased out a little bit, but the thing that's fascinating to me is why there was such a massive public response kind of cheering it on. Of course, there were people that were like, this is horrible, this is bad, this is whatever. There were also a lot of people that, had some really wild memes like, hey, my thoughts and prayers are out of network, sorry.
Yeah.
Some wild shit got said.
Yeah.
But when a lot of people are saying the same thing there, that makes me say, yeah, is this representative of a totally disenfranchised population that kind of viewed that not as a murder, but as a like, hey, we gotta win? I know that sounds really weird to say, and I know we're talking about death here, but obviously enough people were cheering it on, saying like, oh, finally, we struck a blow back. Like, we've been taking shit for so many years. And now there's like a little bit of fight back. But again, dude, it didn't solve anything.
Right.
It's not like there's going to be this string of vigilante justice
Right.
out there doing it. And even if there were, like, is that going to solve the problem? I don't think so. So To answer your question, man, I don't know what's going to come of it. I think it's also very interesting that he's like a very sharp dude, and obviously, I think got caught on purpose. I don't know. There's some weird stuff going on there, so I'm
Right.
curious to see how it plays out. But the most fascinating thing to me is how could some tragedy like this happen in broad daylight and have a huge chunk of the American population cheering it on?
Yeah.
That's really interesting to me.
Yeah. I just, I wasn't sure if something like that would like be a wake up call for people to be like, hey, can we do things better or something like I don't know. Like it was just there's a lot of things happening, but then our news cycle and our attention spans in the U.S. and probably everywhere else are just so short, and it just seems like now we're on to different news cycles and stuff like that. Where my hope was that like more attention would be paid to like how things are structured right now and like, hey, this is awful, like this is a tragedy, like what can we do to try and improve what's going on to create a better system for people. And I don't know, it was just kind of a thought that I
Yeah.
had, and I didn't know if kind of you had any thoughts on that.
Well,
So
yeah,
next
I mean,
question.
to real quick, like
Yeah, yeah.
I think it is going to like it cause people to pause and reflect, but the single most lobbied industry in the country, healthcare, health insurance, pharmaceuticals, right? So like the cash cow keeps on marching forward, and it's going to have to be, it's just going to be, it's taken years to get to this point. It's going to take years to get out of this point.
Yeah.
And just a random act of violence isn't going to change it. But I think it did wake people up to a certain extent, and it put, at the very least, a little bit of attention on how messed up this whole thing is. But yeah, this is years of Luke and CJ and everybody else in the space, like diligently doing work to unpack and kind of unwind this whole weird system.
Yeah, yeah. All right, last question. We'll get you out of here. Give me your next kind of 3 to 5 years as far as what you're kind of seeing as far as the insurance industry, and I think you kind of touched on it a little bit, but what are you kind of seeing as far as the future? Even if it's point solutions or things that are going to be done differently, like what are you kind of seeing or hoping maybe is a better way to phrase it over the next like 3 to 5 years when it comes to health insurance and healthcare?
Yeah, yeah, good question. Um, I think the obviously younger generations, Gen Z and millennials now, I think make up the majority of the workforce. And we are all about like hyper focused, hyper personalized stuff. So I think we're going to shift towards getting care for the stuff that you need, personalized attention to things. Because right now, Luke buys insurance to cover everything. It's like if anything happens, I'm covered. Well, 99% of things don't happen to me, right? And there's obviously catastrophic ER stuff you can't plan and there's no regimen for. But how many people, I think with the like number of ways that you can test yourself, test your blood, test your upbringing, test like who you are and how you engage with different drugs and foods and whatever. I think there's going to be very, very tailored plans where this idea of, oh yeah, I just have health insurance, period, will be like, no, I have care for my diabetes and I have care for my, whatever it is, like that sort of stuff for my mental health or whatever. Um, I also think like there's been a massive shift over to ICRA.
Hmm.
That's really interesting. I think 30% of fully insured groups moved over to ICRA this last year, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe that's small group, large group doesn't matter. A third of the population moving over to that is really crazy. So I'm like, are people going to move? I think the fully insured shell game that goes away pretty quickly. I mean, the insurance companies are always going to find a way to make money,
Right.
but I mean, dude, you're getting down to like 20 or 30 like self-funded groups, and they're like, yeah, we don't need the big insurance company anymore.
Yeah.
So I imagine a world where it's mostly self-funded, level-funded, captive, ICRA, whatever, like shifting away from the large, just fully insured insurance conglomerate, hyper tailored care. And I do think, and this is why I'm excited for Informed, I think like people are going to start asking this question of, oh yeah, why do we spend so much money on this thing but get so little for it?
Yep.
Which is crazy. Like you said, once a year open enrollment. you're emailing with the account managers and teams on like benefits admin stuff, but like where is the value for an employee? Where in the hell is the value for people that are spending 10, 15, 30 grand a year on this thing? So yeah, I think there's going to be kind of a revolution coming where people focus on getting people engaged, hyper focused benefits, and how do we just not get played by big insurance the same way we have been for a really long time.
Interesting. Love it. I love it. Well, man, I appreciate the time. This was just better than I could have even hoped for a
Hell
pilot.
yeah.
Just a ton of great points. I'm excited for what you're doing. I think just the education piece, like you mentioned, is just such a critical piece that's been missing, that's been lacking, and just helping people understand what they have and how to use it, I think can make a pretty substantial difference, both just for them personally, but also even on a little bit bigger scale when it comes to these companies and stuff like that. I mean, if you can create health conscious consumers, I mean, you have a way to hopefully control some of those renewals and things like that. So I am so grateful, so appreciative for you, for who you are, for all that you do, and look forward to talking with you again soon, bud.
Likewise, man. Thanks for having me. I'll look forward to this thing airing, and yeah, let's talk again soon.
All right, bud. Have a good one.
All right, see ya.
Bye.